Death ends a life, not a relationship. This is a quote from the book Tuesdays with Maury. I'm Nicholas Cummings, and thank you for listening to my TED Talk. This is the story of me and my grandfather's death. But before I tell you the story of his death, I'll tell you the story of our lives. I was born in 2009 in Chicago before moving to Michigan 1 to 2 years later. My family and I, we always drove down to Chicago from Michigan to see my grandparents, and we were always so eager to get there, saying things like, "Are we there yet?" or "How much longer?" Just little things like that. And whenever arrived, my grandfather always had some fresh food prepared for us, and sometimes went out to buy sweets for us. And whenever we didn't drive out to see them, they took the train to come see us in Michigan. I remember one of their visits, we went out to a small lake, and my grandfather put some bait on a fish hook, handed me a fishing rod, and taught me how to fish. I caught 3 herrings and a cod that day, which we then later ate for dinner. 2 years ago, we moved to Chicago, and when we did, my grandparents moved in with us. My grandfather always came after school when it ended to come pick us up from school. Always doing little things that had big impacts on us. And we agreed that one day we'd go out on Lake Michigan on a boat and catch a large fish, which we'd then eat for dinner. But then, 1 to 2 months ago, it happened. I was at home, it was 2 or 3 in the morning, and I was trying to figure out why my phone was ringing. Turns out my dad was calling me, telling me my grandfather was in the hospital and in a lot of pain. See, some 4 to 5 years ago, my grandfather had gotten gout, which can be incredibly painful. He had gotten medication to help, and it was working until recently. And because of his gout, bile chunks were formed in his pancreas, which caused swelling. And the reason bile chunks formed was because of the gout, and the gout was caused by his old failing liver, which couldn't keep up with it anymore. When I first heard that he was hospitalized, I was just broken, like helpless. I didn't know what I could do to help him because there wasn't anything I could do to help him. I just felt so powerless in that moment. He had a large surgery and was in a lot of discomfort for 3 weeks. It was awful seeing him in a hospital bed, tons of tubes sticking out of him as he shuddered and shook. It was just terrible to see him like that. And during that time, his stitches had come undone from the surgery, and he had to have another large surgery. 2 weeks later, he had died from medical complications. It had hurt so much, more than anything I had ever felt before in my life. The grief was just overpowering, even more so when I saw how my family took it, especially my mother's side of the family. I'd skipped a day of school to try and recover from this, but I just couldn't. I couldn't find any motivation in myself. I felt hopeless, but maybe it wasn't quite over yet. Maybe there was someone other than myself I could help, other families out there that could lose someone. This led to a passing thought that I had, an idea. And I thought this idea was original. I had never heard of it before, so I searched it up because I was curious. And turns out this idea had been around for decades, but it was forgotten because of the lack of technology. And this idea might have been the idea that could have helped my grandfather through his trial in the hospital. This idea of artificially grown lab facilitated livers. The way it works is there's going to be like an artificial heart pumping oxygen and nutrients into a chunk of liver cells, which is in a mold shaped like the human liver. And this way, chunks of it can be sliced out for easy transplants. The artificial heart's linked up to a tub of nutrients and an artificial lung. This way, oxygen and nutrients get in the bloodstream, which will help grow the liver. Theoretically, this means that livers can be mass produced at a low cost and distributed to the public with little to no wait times anymore. So other families get to keep their loved ones for just a little bit longer, so they have the chance to thank them for what they've done and just how thankful you are for them. Something that I had missed. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that you're never truly helpless, even though it might seem hopeless, even though it might seem like there's nothing that you can do. There's always something. You can always do something for someone else than yourself. Even if you're past the point of helping yourself, there's still someone out there that you can help. This idea, I will push for it to become a reality. I will make this idea of artificial livers a real thing. I will research it. I will try and fund it. I will collaborate with others to try and make this idea a reality. And I will not stop until it is a reality. Anyone can do anything. Even if it's something small, minuscule even, it's bound to have a big impact on someone out there. Scientists, I'm calling you to action right now. Don't miss this opportunity. You have to reach beyond your own doubts. You have to reach beyond the doubts of others. You have to reach for the opportunity. You have to reach for this chance that I've given. And you have to take it. Again, I am Nicholas Cummings, and thank you for listening to my TED Talk.